Welcome back, July 2nd, 2021. As we wrote in Last Best Hope, those of us around in 1976 remember the bicentennial that marked the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. It was a grand and joyous celebration of the country's birthday and founding principles. A year of parades, flags, tri-cornered hats, fifes, drums, tall ships, fireworks, the Freedom Train. It came at a somewhat uneasy time. The country had been through the Vietnam War, Watergate, race riots, high inflation, Middle East war, and an oil crisis. The bicentennial helped pull Americans together. It helped us remember our great history, achievements, finest aspirations. It made us proud and grateful to be Americans. Since then, nearly half a century has passed. As of this writing, we are 2 years away from the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. A little more than 4 years away from the 250th anniversary of those first shots heard around the world at Lexington and Concord, and 5 years away from the semi-quincentennial of the Declaration of Independence. What kind of celebration will it be? What kind of celebration will this weekend give us? We were told by the president we could have gatherings and barbecues with friends and families this 4th of July if we behaved. Have we gotten that report back yet from the president? Did we make the naughty or nice list? Is anyone asking? Abraham Lincoln once warned that the further we get from the miracle of the American Revolution, the less likely we are to appreciate it. Quote, "This state of feeling of patriotic pride must fade, is fading, has faded with the circumstances that produced it," he said. "The scenes of the revolution, like everything else, must fade upon the memory of the world and grow more and more dim by the lapse of time. Our freedom will crumble," Lincoln said, "unless we make efforts to sustain it, to furnish all the materials for our future support and defense." Those materials, Lincoln believed, included general intelligence, sound morality, and particular reverence for our Constitution and laws. And of course, an appreciation of our past. This was also the main message of Ronald Reagan's in his farewell address to America in 1989, as much as it was his calling card message entering on the political stage in the 1960s, when he said for the first time, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States of America, where men were truly free." This sentiment bookmarked Ronald Reagan's entire career as a Republican, first uttering it in 1961, then ending his presidency with the same message in 1989. It must have been something important to Ronald Reagan that he would bookend his political career that way. You would think so, no? But if it was, so should it be to us. Since 1976, since 1989, we've reached a time when I fear a patriotic pride isn't always as strong as it used to be, or as strong as Lincoln would like, or Reagan would have liked, or a lot of Democrats who were Democrats in the 1970s and 1980s would have liked. Television reports and political websites are often full of cynicism. Many express doubts about American motives on the world stage. Some Americans seem ready to believe the worst about our leaders and our country, as well as their fellow Americans. The country is divided. The eminent historian Ellen Guelzo even believes we are the most divided since one of the most epic events in history, the Civil War. I believe, as you know, we are even more divided. Then it was about one big, terrible thing. But students in South Carolina read the same history of the United States and literature books and poetry as students in New York back then. Today, I'm not even sure students in South Carolina read the same history of America they read in other parts of South Carolina. I know it's not the same history they read in California and Pennsylvania. We don't even agree anymore on math. We don't agree on what year America was founded. We don't agree on why America was founded. We don't agree on mathematical certainty because 2 plus 2 doesn't have to equal 5 doesn't have to equal 4 as some state school administrators and boards are proposing. We don't agree that certain heroes are heroes anymore. Martin Luther King used to be a hero. He also used to be controversial to the non-left. Today he's controversial, and to invoke him is racist to the left. By the way, Martin Luther King and his followers always marched with the American flag. Just so you know, I can see why the left doesn't like him. One can imagine the commentaries from elites in the media and academia as 2026 approaches. One can imagine it as this weekend approaches. The Boston Tea Party patriots who disguised themselves as Mohawk Indians were appropriating a culture they ravaged. That shot heard round the world was all about power and empire. Founders were rich white men, greedy for their own liberty, but intent on oppressing and enslaving everyone else. And of course, all of it came over 100 years after 1619, which is our new founding date, as if George Orwell were disinterred and put in charge of our national curriculum in the Department of U.S. History. We've experienced an awful lot of running down of this country. Our national anthem asks, "Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?" It's a good question because it asks, are we teaching our children to proudly hail that banner? Do we still laud our country as the land of the free and the home of the brave? We know that answer. In a strange twist of fate and thought, it's more popular to oppose the anthem than to stand for it. But may I say a few words about the anthem and flag in our country as we head into our 245th birthday? They are the words of William Rehnquist, signed off and concurred with by Byron White, a Democrat put on the Supreme Court by John Kennedy, per my earlier point about Democrats of yore. Quote, "One immediate result of the flag's adoption as our official flag was that American vessels harassing British shipping sailed under an authorized national flag. Without such, the British could treat captured seamen as pirates and hang them summarily. With a national flag, Americans were treated as prisoners of war. During the War of 1812, British naval forces sailed up Chesapeake Bay and marched overland to sack and burn the city of Washington. They then sailed up the Patapsco River to invest the city of Baltimore, but to do so, it was first necessary to reduce Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor. Francis Scott Key, a lawyer, had been granted permission by the British to board one of their warships to negotiate the release of an American who had been taken hostage prisoner. That night, waiting anxiously on the British ship, Key watched the British fleet firing on Fort McHenry. Finally, at daybreak, he saw the fort's American flag still flying. The British attack had failed. Intensely moved, he began to scribble on the back of an envelope the poem that became our national anthem. Go look at it. Go read it. It's about 6 lines. You can hear and smell the stench of racism in that, can't you? Of course you can't. But Colin Kaepernick, Gwen Berry, Megan Rapinoe, and so many others certainly can, and tell us that song is drenched in racism. The American flag played a central role in our nation's most tragic conflict. When the North fought against the South, the lowering of the American flag at Fort Sumter was viewed as the start of the war. The southern states, to formalize their separation from the Union, adopted the stars and bars of the Confederacy, creating their own flag. The Union troops marched to the sound of, quote, "Yes, we'll rally round the flag, boys, we'll rally once again." President Abraham Lincoln refused proposals to remove from the American flag the stars representing the rebel states because he considered the conflict not a war between two nations, but an attack by 11 states against the national government. By war's end, the American flag again flew over an indestructible union composed of indestructible states. In the First and Second World Wars, thousands of our countrymen died on foreign soil fighting for the American cause. At Iwo Jima in the Second World War, United States Marines fought hand-to-hand against thousands of Japanese. By the time the Marines reached the top of Mount Suribachi, they raised a piece of pipe upright and from one end fluttered a flag. The ascent had cost nearly 6,000 American lives. The Iwo Jima Memorial in Arlington memorializes this event. President Franklin Roosevelt authorized the use of flags on labels, packages, cartons, and containers intended for export as lend-lease aid in order to inform people in other countries that it was the United States that was helping them. During the Korean War, the successful amphibious landing of American troops at Incheon was marked by the raising of the American flag within an hour of the event. Impetus for the enactment of the federal flag desecration statute in 1967 came from the impact of flag burnings in the United States. The impact of the flag burnings in the United States on troop morale. In Vietnam, Mendel Rivers, chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, testified, quote, that the burning of the flag has caused my mail to increase 100% from the boys in Vietnam, writing me and asking me, with all the flag burning in America, what is going on in America? The flag symbolizes the nation in peace as well as in war. It signifies our national presence on battleships, airplanes, military installations, public buildings from the United States Capitol to the thousands of county courthouses and city halls throughout the country. 2 flags are prominently placed in the U.S. Supreme Court. Countless flags are placed by the graves of loved ones each year on Memorial Day. The flag is traditionally placed on the casket of deceased members of the armed forces, and it is later given to the deceased family. Congress has provided that the flag be flown at half-staff upon the death of a president, a vice president, and other government officials, quote, as a mark of respect to their memory, close quote. The flag identifies the United States merchant ships, and the laws of the Union protect our commerce wherever the flag of the country may float. No other American symbol has been as universally honored as the flag. No symbol has been more burnt, destroyed, trampled on, and stomped on in the last year than the American flag. In 1931, Congress declared the Star-Spangled Banner to be our national anthem. Congress declared June 4th, by the way, national anthem, okay? National anthem, national song, also known as the Star-Spangled Banner, which is a euphemism for the American flag. Congress declared June 14th to be Flag Day. In 1987, John Philip Sousa's The Stars and Stripes Forever was designated as the National March. Congress has also established the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the manner of its deliverance. The flag has appeared as the principal symbol on approximately 33 United States postal stamps and then the design of at least 43 more. The government did not really establish any of this or create any of this. Our history and our people did. John Paul Stevens would write, the flag is more than a proud symbol of the courage, the determination, and the gifts of nature that transformed fledgling colonies into a world power. It is a symbol of freedom, of equal opportunity, of religious tolerance, and of goodwill for other peoples who share our aspirations. And it is a symbol for what, God please, we all will continue to fight for, at least right here. Wishing you a happy 4th of July and Independence Day. As we head into the show, it's your show. What are 2 or 3 things you love about this country? I'm Seth Leibson. Let me know. We'll be right back.